Welcome to the Unlocking Ability podcast. My name is Marie Devitt and I'm the Business Partnerships Manager in the Trinity Centre for people with intellectual disabilities in the School of Education, Trinity College, Dublin. In this podcast, I will be speaking to some of our TCPID graduates and their colleagues about their experiences of inclusive employment. Each episode will feature a different company, showcasing a wide variety of industries and of roles. These discussions will highlight the importance of true inclusion and belonging in the workplace and will showcase the profound impact upon everyone involved. Join us as we explore inclusive employment and listen to stories of real inclusion in action. So I am absolutely delighted to be here today with two amazing colleagues from An Post. We have Niamh Biddulph and Danielle Bouchier to talk to me today about the partnership with TCPID, about inclusion in general, and about all the many achievements of Niamh since she finishes us in Trinity College. So thank you both for being here with me today to do this. Niamh, if I start with you, I know we have trying to get you to fit us in amongst all your other media engagements. If you could maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your background for the podcast.
My name is Niamh Biddulph. In January next year, I'll be 29. I live in Ashburn with my mum and my two brothers, and I sometimes see my dad in Balbriggan. And I find that I really like to hang out with my friends every Saturday whenever I can, and I love listening to music to sort of keep me relaxed, and sometimes it gives me a bit of a dancing jig here and there. I find in this well that a lot of hobbies I do is mostly like with writing in my diary, doing the Sudoku sometimes, and then I sometimes do a little bit of dot-to-dot drawing as well. And then sometimes I like watching movies with my family and friends. Sometimes I really like going to concerts and
JLS.
yeah, I'm a big fan of JLS, so
that's fantastic. Have they played recently or?
yeah, they played on the 11th of November, just gone.
Perfect.
So I really got to enjoy the concert.
Amazing. You have a little bit of, as I mentioned, media experience and TV experience.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about?
So to start with, I was in a documentary called Autism and Me that was on RTE back in 2017. That documentary was talking about the challenges of everyday life living with autism, and I was the only female representation of autism in that documentary, so it was good for the audience to sort of get an insight as to how girls could perceive autism from a feminine perspective in that. And then I was on the Late Late Show in the same year before the documentary was released, and it was quite an overwhelming experience being on the Late Late Show because and for me, my dream getting there was kind of starting off with being in the audience initially, and I'd be there alongside my mum. And then we got a call on the day of the show to say that there's been a slight change of plans and that I was going to be on the panel on the iconic sofa. And so I found that adjusting to that was a bit of a surprise, but it was a welcoming surprise. And I was so excited. I really wanted to tell all my family and friends, but my mom was like, you can't say anything until the episode's been released. So I had to keep it a secret for a while, and then a lot of people got the shock. You were very surprised as well. And so since the pandemic, I have been in a movie with my friends that we all made together, and it's called The Valentine Ball that you can see on YouTube. It's a movie about a few couples going to a Valentine's Ball event, and it involves some autistic characters because we identified there was a gap with regards to dating in autism and that. And within a year of that being released, we had over 12,000 likes on YouTube. So it was
goodness.
So it was quite a big leap to get to there within a matter of a year of it being released. But we had some very positive feedback from that, and so it is one of those things that we've all been very proud of. And then earlier this year, I have been on a new TV series that will be coming out in February in the new year called The Assembly. And so again, I was doing that with some of my friends, and we actually were very lucky to interview some celebrities. Now, I cannot really disclose who, but all I can say is when you see the series in the new year, you will find out for yourself, and there might be some surprises along the way.
That's the same one that they had on English TV, isn't it? Where it's a kind of an audience of young people interviewing celebrities.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're known as autistic and neurodivergent interviewers, and it has that sort of same concept like the UK version.
I'm honoured that you were able to fit us in amongst all of that. All of that. You are just fantastic. And Danielle, can you tell us about your role in On Post and a little bit about yourself as well?
Thanks, Marie. So I'm Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Manager in On Post, and I work in the EXO building with Niamh, which is right next to the Point Depot, which is good for your proximity to GLS. Stones throw away. I live in Cavan, where I'm from, with my husband and 2 young daughters. And so my role in On Post is about creating a workplace where every employee feels supported and valued and accepted. And we try very hard to keep inclusion at the heart of everything we do. And a lot of my work would be also developing policies and training and programs that has belonging and inclusion front of mind.
And you and I have had the absolute joy of working together for many years now at this stage.
That's right.
But can you tell us maybe about how long On Post have been a partner of TCPID?
Yes, so it's been 2019 when we became a business partner, and we have learned so much, and we've welcomed so many amazing graduates, Niamh being one of them. Niamh's in HR. We have welcomed some graduates into pensions, banking and treasury, communications, learning and development. There's a couple of others, and we have an excellent graduate right now on the 6th floor in our headquarters with myself and Niamh, and he is in the TV license section. And Niamh has been absolutely amazing because just a buddy to him when he came in, and making life just very easy to settle in. So fair play to you.
Absolutely fantastic. The range of roles in On Post has been so fantastic and so interesting. And I mean, the first ones were, even your initial role was in the GPO pre-COVID, and then we'll get to that later, but then things changed significantly, so we've had to pivot a bit, haven't we?
There has been quite a few major changes since I was working in On Post. So like I found that starting in the GPO, is quite an amazing routine to sort of like get up in the morning and get the bus in, and there was the GPO, and that you were working away there. And I did that for a few months before the pandemic hit, and it was quite a big change going from working in the office for a few days to then having to be at home because of the lockdown restrictions that were in place. And for a lot of people, especially myself, we didn't exactly know if it meant that we would be able to get back into a normal routine per se. So it was quite a bit of an uncertain in time for a few of us when that happened. But I then adjusted to working from home in February of 21, and I was able to continue my internship from then on. And it was from that point on, by the May bank holiday weekend of that same year, we were all in a meeting, and you got to hear the news that I was going to get a permanent part-time contract. And I found that before the news even came, I felt like I was in a really good place, that I felt I was doing well with the progression I was making, and that I was feeling more confident the more that I was kind of sticking to the work routine and that. And then I knew that there was a meeting coming up But I was there thinking in my head at the time that it didn't exactly matter what the outcome was going to be. I was just happy with what I had put in. And so when Danielle started talking about the permanent contract, I just found I was so happy and so excited that I actually found I was bursting into tears not once but twice, because it was like the first time I had the tearful joy of happiness and that sort of thing. I was there realizing that I wanted my mom to be in on the news as well. So I ran down to the kitchen and popped my head out of the door and was calling for my mom to come up to my room so that she got to hear the news of what was going on. And I think that my mom was very delighted. My family were really proud that I was able to sort of achieve getting a permanent in contract with Pulse, because and for a lot of autistic people, getting in a permanent job means that we have a purpose for waking up each morning. It also means that we have a chance to showcase our potential when it comes to utilizing our computer skills wherever we're working in that. And so it's always been amazing to know that in this was kind of what started bringing out this growth that you've seen now. Since then, we've had moved headquarters, so are now in the EXO instead of the GPO. We've also now had the change of systems where we've gone from working manually to having everything done online. And then we're also kind of in the process of change where we're looking at introducing artificial intelligence in the work that we're doing. And so there's been so much change since I was in Nonpulse. And it's hard to believe that I've been working in Nonpulse for 6 years.
Oh my goodness, 6 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, we've skipped right ahead. So could I bring you back just quickly to Trinity College?
Yeah.
When you decided to come to Trinity and study with us. So can you tell us about why did you decide to apply for Trinity College for the course?
Around the time in the talk about college came up, I was doing a post-leaving cert course in Dublin College for a year called Multimedia, and I was getting close to finishing that, and it was around that time when my mom came to me and recommended as a word of mouth about this course that was happening, because
it was brand new at that stage.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
because like my older brother, he was in Trinity, but he was doing in the certificate in contemporary living, which was the course that Trinity was doing at the time before this new course came in. And so my mom suggested to me that I should give this course a try, and she was there showing me the application form and sort of like helping me through the process of like what I needed to put in, sort of say why I wanted to be in Trinity and that. But by the time I was finishing up in Dublin College, I wasn't exactly sure of what route I wanted to take. So the fact that my mom had suggested this course to me meant that it was actually a nice way of getting myself into a transition to go from PLC to college. And so I filled in the application, submitted it. Then we had the meeting in the TCPID building where we had like a group session thing while individual interviews were taking place. So I found that it was really good that we had the group session there to sort of keep us focused on what we were doing, and it got us a little distracted from the interview, because sometimes when you're going into an interview, you're just going into the interview with absolutely no idea as to how long you're going to be waiting. So the fact that we had like a task thing to do as a team effort meant that we were sort of able to take our minds off the uncertainty of how long we were waiting before we were next up to go into the interview. So that was all done, and I is quite sure that whatever happens, it was going to mean that I was going to be commuting by bus to wherever I was going to go. So it was, I think, during the summer of 2016 that I got the letter to say that I got a place in Trinity, and from then on, and my life had completely changed for the better, and that was. And it was only like a few days before I started my first day in Trinity did I actually start doing the filming work for the Ultimate Me documentary. So that all tied in really nicely with the sort of challenges that I had with sort of like being independent, getting my own transport to college and that. And
Was that difficult, Niamh, the transport bit? Did that take a lot of kind of preparation?
at that time, I was getting a load of practice getting the buses with my mom. So like she was helping me with that process. So having family there to support you with that was what really kind of helped me to sort of adjust to what I needed to do for when I was going into college and that. And I actually remembered that the day before I was meant to be going into Trinity, my mom was talking to me and saying, "Oh, the film crew wanted to film you being on the bus on your own." And I was there like, we only had 2 days of practicing getting the bus together, and then all of a sudden I had to go from that to getting the bus on my own with film crew, and I was like, "Help me!"
Just your average first day of college.
Yeah. But no, it has been a really good experience, and it actually really helped me to sort of build up the confidence I need to sort of get my own buses to Dublin and that. And
what do you think people find difficult about the transport thing? Is it the amount of people or the scheduling, or?
I think it is a number of things. Like the thing of like with crowds being on the public transport as well as the timing, like it all kind of links with one another. But I found that for a few years, my major anxiety was the bus going to show up by the time I got to the bus stop, because I found that in the past I used to be so stressed out about what if the bus didn't arrive. I was kind of wondering, should I call my mum or my dad to give me a lift to where I needed to go and that. So I like being in early so that I have time to sort of get my work stuff together, give myself a routine of like getting my hot chocolate, and so that I have something to drink for when I'm on my break and stuff. So yeah, when it came to the public transport side of things, that still would be an anxiety for a lot of people, especially for autistic people who are going to college for the first time or going into work placements for the first time, not familiar with the environment that they're going into, because they've been overwhelmed with the anxieties of getting public transport where they need to go. That could kind of like sort of eats into what they think the work environment's going to be like in that. And so it is something that I really would like to see improve a little bit, I'll be honest, because a lot of autistic people, we are not big fans of being late for anything. We like for our services and for our public transport to be as on time as can be. And
in relation, I suppose, for people maybe watching this or listening to this, just I suppose for people to be aware that there are people who might be anxious on public transport and it being so busy and crowded, and just have an element of kindness and understanding really when that does happen.
Yeah, like I know that if I am on a bus and it's very full, I find that I really am not comfortable with that overcrowded feeling, because for me, I like having my space just to have my ECH and be able to listen to my music and that. But if I'm on a bus that is very overcrowded and there's no seats where I could actually sit down, I feel like it's very claustrophobic for me. And sometimes I'm looking out the windows to see when is my next stop going to be coming, because I want to get off as soon as possible.
Yeah, we've gone off on these wonderful tangents. I love that. Which are really important and really valuable to mention. But maybe just to return to your time in Trinity, and what did you enjoy the most about your time, your 2 years in Trinity?
Now, the first thing that I really enjoyed most about my experience in Trinity was that I got to make some really amazing friends for life along
You're
the
still
way.
friends with,
Yeah, and like we have our own group chat that we often message in to sort of check and see how we're all doing and that. And so it's been really amazing that I have these friends who were all in the same journey as I was, and that we're all now gone on to getting jobs and doing other courses and that. And now that was the first thing that I noticed that I found was a very positive experience. And it tied in with the fact that we had the Visit to Paul meetings once a week, and that really kind of helps me sort of build up on my social skills somewhat, and that was what contributed to that as well. The second thing that I would say was quite a positive experience for me was that doing the field trips that we got to do. Like, one of the assignments we had to do was basically organize our own trips to places in the city centre, and we were kind of leaders of those trips. So we had to do that in pairs, and in my pairing that we did, I was able to sort of look and see what would be an interesting trip, and that was the first time that we actually got to do a trip at the Aviva Stadium.
Nice.
And so, and because like I know is some people who really are interested in their sports and that, and so I found that when the Aviva Stadium tours happened before the pandemic, it was a good opportunity to sort of get to experience that. And I found that it was such an amazing experience, and like my friends and the staff that were with us for the trip all really enjoyed the experience, and found that we got to really sort of take in the atmosphere of what it was like being a sort of tourist in our own city kind of thing. With that kind of confidence that I had, I was able to sort of organise a birthday trip to the Aviva Stadium for my dad as a little birthday treat and a little something special for his birthday. So
it's about building those skills for organising trips and things like that, isn't it?
Yeah. And like I find now that whenever I am organising a trip to the city centre with some of my friends, or if we're going to be meeting somewhere else, like I always make sure that I do my research on where I'm going before I book something. Now, there's been a few times where I've booked likes of bowling and that with my friends.
Amazing. And then, so you finished in Trinity in 2018. And so can you tell us about your path from finishing in Trinity, what you did then before you ended up in An Post?
So when I finished up in Trinity, I was doing a graduate internship with the Bank of Ireland, and that was in one location where I actually did my student work placement with earlier on than that year as well. And I found that it was really good to be able to sort of get into a routine of doing the internships where you see familiar faces and that you know who you can go to if you ever are struggling in any aspect of your work and that. And so I finished that up in 2018, and then I did a 3-month internship with A&L Goodbody in 2019, and that was a really good experience for me as well. And I found that it was actually the first time that the business partner actually asked for me to come help out with one of their charity events thing in the building itself. So they had like a spin cycle thing going on, and they wanted somebody to sort of keep everybody going with like keeping up with the times and making sure that everyone got their turn on the spin cycles and that. And that was a really great experience. And so after that, then later in 2019, I got another internship with Bank of Ireland, but at a different location. And I was really great to be able to sort of get into a routine, meet with new people, but then find that you've got the confidence to be able to sort of network with your work colleagues. And I think that all the internships I've done, I've kind of been gradually building up on my these in networking skills to sort of show colleagues that I like to work hard, but I also like to try and socialize as much as I can as well. Because what some people take for granted is that for a lot of us, we like to show that we are hardworking, but sometimes we don't give ourselves time to take a break from all that hard work, and that can sometimes eat into our mental health slightly. And so it's important to recognize that if you need to take a break, take that break that you need before you resume with your work and before you finish up. So then I finished in the Bank of Ireland, and then I had a meeting with Danielle and another colleague in the GPO before I started my internship with An Post in 2020. And Danielle and the other colleague who I don't know if I want to mention their name, but I know they will be appreciating that they've been mentioned. They've been very supportive from the beginning, and I remember that when I first saw them, the first thing was that it was a really nice, calm environment, and that the whole process of what was happening was very much well organized, and I felt like I was very prepared for what was going to happen. And I felt ready to take on the next internship when Danielle gave me a piece of paper that had outlined all the different jobs I was going to be doing while I was working in non-post. And I found that that's the kind of thing that really sort of helped me to sort of work out where I was going to be, what kind of work I was going to be doing, and how I would find that would give me enough confidence to sort of build that up for many years to come.
And Danielle, you put a lot of care into that, into preparing that internship with our original plan, which is going to be in the GPO. And, it was so, as I say, it all was supposed to go a certain way. And then the lovely pandemic kicked off right in the middle, I think. And that changed things for everybody, didn't it?
A huge change for everyone. And, change is difficult at the best of times. But we went to seeing each other every single day and supporting each other and being able to walk across a big open floor to be able to ask each other questions and go for hot chocolate and coffees and lunch, to suddenly being thrown to home with new technology and new teams. But I have to say, I never had to worry about Niamh, because we caught up, and she supports her team very well. They're so supportive of her, that it wasn't as bad a transition as I thought it would. I think I thought it was more difficult for maybe people who didn't have the digital skills. But you were telling me at the time about the work that you had done in college, and it was fine.
It was great. And I think what really stood to you, Niamh, was obviously the college course had prepared you well, but the other internships as well had built up your skills.
Yeah.
So that by the time you got to An Post, you were very confident in being able to do everything. And can you, in the context of that, maybe tell us a little bit about the work that you do in An Post and the team that you're in?
Yes, so as a HR administrator, some of my main jobs are pretty much setting up new hires and rehires, making sure that they've gone through the security medical clearances, as well as setting up their contracts for when they are starting work with us. I also am responsible for printing and issuing ID cards for employees that are based in the GPO as well as nationwide. ID cards that are for the Excel building are through a different team, but I sometimes get queries about that, and sometimes I would be replying to them to say that you need to contact this team if you want to get the Excel ID cards, etc. And then as well, I also do process the transfer lists, where if we have requests to add somebody to transfer list, we add them to a transfer list, and we send out relevant correspondence to say that they have been added to the transfer list. Sometimes we might get requests for offers for transfers, so I would be responsible for making sure that I contacted the employee to say the details of the offer, and I could also share the contact details of the person who manages is the office of where they want to transfer to. And then if they've gone through the transfer or they've declined the transfer offer, I'm also responsible for ensuring that they have been removed from the transfer list and have been given a letter to say that they've been removed from that transfer list. And so a lot of the work that I have done in recently has changed so much from all those years ago, because I remembered that when I went into the GPO to start with, I used to be doing a lot of speculative CVs. I used to be helping with processing applications for internal competitions and that. And the fact that the technology has changed so much when we were moving headquarters in the last few years meant that I was no longer doing those anymore. So what work I do and how I work on those sort of situations has really differentiated since then. And I think that for a lot of people, having all that change can be quite overwhelming and daunting. But you kind of need to sort of look at what kind of information you've got, see if that really affects the work that you do, and if it does, then you kind of want to make sure that you are in touch with your supervisor, your mentor, to sort of see what changes can be implemented so that you know that you're doing things the new way instead of the old-fashioned way. And so I found that it was really an amazing experience to sort of know that I got to be able to go through so many of those changes, but with a team that really supported me from day one. And the fact that they see me as a valuable asset to the team, like, you can't really ask for anything better than that.
That's amazing. And I mean, Danielle, I'm just listening to that list of tasks and roles that you do. How has Niamh added to your team in An Post, and what has she brought to it?
Well, Niamh brings incredible positivity, a great work ethic. You can hear that from what she was speaking about, and different perspective, very much forward thinking, and very much open to new ideas and artificial intelligence, anything that can help the team succeed and work better. And Niamh's all over it.
Amazing. And I think one of the real full circle moments for me was when you mentioned the other graduates who are working in An Post, and that there's a graduate at the moment. And when we brought him in for his meet and greet to do his onboarding, that the person from HR who came down with the onboarding documentation was Niamh.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I nearly fell out of my chair, because it was so amazing to see you in that role, explaining so brilliantly all the documents that the next graduate had to complete.
Yeah, because like it was important that for a lot of these graduates that they get the information they need, sort of prepare themselves for when I need to go into their internships. Because what could happen is, if an autistic employee came into the workplace and met somebody and they didn't exactly explain in detail what was to be expected from them, they might find that they have a lot of questions they want to ask, and they probably are not sure as to how they go asking about it. So when I met with the graduate and Danielle in that time in earlier this year, I wanted to make sure that the information I was giving out was from not only my own experience, but from what the kind of work I was doing. And I wanted to make sure that kind of expertise came into the right hands. And so
She's very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I find that it's important that if you know what you're doing, it's important that you try and share some of that knowledge with others, so that you know that, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to sign these documents, go through the vetting process and that. And then once that's all done, we can then set you up and give you a contract, and then you can start your job. And so I think that's the kind of thing that I think we need to sort of start saying to other employers, that if you're wanting to include autistic employees, this is the kind of preparation work you need to give for them to be able to settle into the work environment smoothly.
And I think it's so wonderful to have you working in the HR capacity, but just that insight, Danielle, that Niamh has, that maybe was a fresh take on how you looked at things for new hires.
It was really important for Niamh to impart her knowledge on our new graduate, to say this is going to take X number of days, because this is the process.
Yes.
And because and then once this is signed off, then you're going to get your contracts, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody can learn something from somebody from a different department.
Yeah.
And all of these processes, not a lot of people would know the ins and outs of that, but to be able to hear it firsthand from someone who knows it inside out was great.
And to have the sort of the understanding that this really helps, somebody to not have that anxiety about how long do I have to wait, what's going to happen with the documents and all that. It was just, as I say, for me, it was just a wow moment. One of many from you, I have to say. But, and it really is important for us, I suppose, to be able to showcase on this podcast as well, the HR role and how rich that is for somebody, who has autism or has an intellectual disability, to be able to add such value to a HR team, and the variety of tasks as well that there are available for other employers to maybe get some ideas, perhaps.
No, absolutely. Working with you guys just has opened a lot of people's eyes in the respective teams that the graduates have been in, not knowing how they can adjust to supporting somebody, but very rewarding when it does happen and go so well. And it has been very successful, but it wouldn't have been as successful without your support, because even on the run up to them coming in, it's all the stuff that you cover in the course, and the project work, the digital skills, the professional etiquette, all of that stuff.
And is there anything you think that, as TCPID or as supporting employers, is there anything that we could do better or more of or differently, particularly with the way the workplaces have changed recently?
I honestly think you do an amazing job, Marie. I can't fault you. I honestly can't. I do think that there is a part on the employer, to take the reins and to maybe have a buddy in-house. You organise the mentoring and the training and the inclusive recruitment training and all of that amazing stuff. But to have that in-house as well just means that, closes the circle. I think it's good.
I think the beauty of it is that it is a real partnership, and it's a really kind of trusting between a TCPID and each business. It's that trust and that kind of knowledge that if there is a question, that any question is okay, and we'll adapt together as needed. But it won't work unless everybody kind of
is bought
into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the beauty of our incredible relationship with An Post to date.
Yeah. Thanks.
And growing.
And vice versa. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. And Niamh, what's your favourite thing about working in An Post?
I think my favourite thing working in An Post is working with a team that has been very supportive, because I think going into a work environment, if you were with a team that you didn't know if they were going to offer support or not, I think creates a sense of uncertainty within the work environment. And I think that having a team that has really sort of helped me through the process of my internship and then going on to being a permanent staff member, and sort of allowing me to be a part of the team in many ways that I didn't think would be possible, has just meant the world to me. And I think it's shown my family and my friends especially that I have really grown so much from that time that I have been in the internships and to being in my job in that.
And you mentioned already at the very beginning about that Zoom call when you found out you were being made permanent. And how did that make you feel? I mean, I know we were all in tears. I mean, I do remember that. It was the most ridiculous photo with a screenshot of all the tears. But how did you feel, and how did your mum, who was there with us as well?
I found that my dream of having a job was made possible, and that it became a reality. And if I felt that it really changed my life completely, and I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for the support of my family. And that has to be acknowledged, that my family have always been proud of whatever I've been doing, and to know that they've been supporting me from when I was doing my internships, and that to get to where I am at now has been very incredible, and I can't thank them enough for that. And my mum, when she is joining in on the call after I was getting her to come up, she was really delighted, and I think she was really happy that there was something that came about from the internship. And I think it was really reassuring for her as well as my dad to know that one of their kids has managed to get a good job out of it, and that it's opened so many doors for many other opportunities that have come a long way and stuff. And so I think it's been really amazing to sort of see how much confidence it's given me, and that they see that I've really sort of channeled in on this whole environment very well. And it's sort of gotten me to show off my confidence a little bit with the work that I've done, being able to sort of share good vibes with my work colleagues and that. And it's just been very amazing to actually be a part of that. And when I look back on it, I don't think I was change anything from it, because I think the whole experience has just been very amazing.
Oh, Niamh, that's amazing to hear. And, you know, the impact has been so positive for An Post, obviously with Niamh and our other graduates as well. And what would you say maybe to other employers who might be considering, you know, hiring people with different abilities and to help convince them to go for it?
I would say that you could start small and make sure that your job advertisements are accessible and that you're casting your net as wide as you can. Maybe start with employing somebody locally on a short-term internship or mentorship program or something like that. You don't have to change the world overnight, but when you see the benefit that different abilities bring to teams, you know, if we all look the same and sound the same, and if we've all had the same education, you're only going to go so far.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember I was in Trinity for one of your business partners meetings, and one of the first questions you had asked was, what does your work mean to you? You said you asked the whole group. And as you mentioned there before, that's purpose and security and learning and developing and all of that. And then you gave us the stat of only so many people, what percentage of people with intellectual disabilities in Ireland. I think it was like 15 or something
tiny.
like that, tiny percent. And it's just about creating opportunities for everyone and don't leave anyone behind. And people may need extra support, and let's just do that and give that.
And
because
it's about
it
reflecting
benefits
the whole of society, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And teams and companies that do that are more resilient. They're stronger. And it benefits everyone, really.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing but benefits, really.
No.
And it's just about giving the same opportunity to everybody to shine. You know, I love your suggestions of starting small. Everyone can make an impact.
Yeah.
It's just about, you know, giving those opportunities. And Niamh, what do your friends and family think of you being like a Trinity College graduate and a permanent employee in An Post?
First of all, my friends and family, they've really seen that, and since I was in Trinity, that they've really seen me grow as a person, and that they've seen me being a lot more sociable, and that they see that I've become a lot more confident in myself and the work that I do, and sort of like how I interact with my friends and that. And I think that for a lot of families who might be unsure as to what having a purpose might mean for their children when they get to college, and that this is kind of like what it could look like in a way. And so I think that when the opportunities are there, grab it with both hands. And that's I find that any opportunity that comes my way, I see it as a golden opportunity. And I think my friends and family, they've really see that I've been taking advantage of so many of these wonderful opportunities that I've had, and like the fact that I've been able to sort of showcase what's been possible means that it's possible that the other autistic community could actually see what it would be like for them to showcase their abilities for many years to come.
Fantastic. You're a fantastic role model for young people, and, you know, a fantastic credit to your family and to everybody. And how do you think you have changed since your first early days in Trinity?
Yeah, so before I was in Trinity, I found that I was very unsure of myself, that I wasn't a very confident person, that if I was going into a new environment, I was always very anxious about the what ifs and not being very sure as to how I would be able to handle myself in those sort of situations. But I think since coming into Trinity, I've kind of stopped worrying about the what ifs, and I found that you only live once. If you have a chance to sort of try something new, go for it, because you never know what's around the corner. And it's kind of a bit like a quote from a famous movie that I'll just say, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So I think that really ties in nicely with what you might find comes your way, well, especially when you're going into college or when you're going into internships, that usually that's what it could be like. And if there's something new that you want to try, give yourself a chance to do it, and you'll feel much better having tried it. And you find that you'll like try new things so much that you want to do that again and again. And I think that's what's been happening with me since then. So
just a little story. I was at a a conference there recently, and there was a lady from Fáilte, Ireland, up on the podium talking about a big conference they had organised with the Autism Europe International Congress. But she was talking about this as an example of, you know, all the amazing kind of things that had gone into putting this together. And while she was on the podium, she said, and you know, someone said, well, what was your, you know, most impactful moment of the conference? She said, well, there was this amazing young woman, Niamh Biddulph, who was talking on a panel, and that she made these amazing points. And I was in the audience just going, oh my God. I said, that's our Niamh. And I just couldn't believe that your name is being called out at events as being just an inspiration to so many people. And as I mentioned, an incredible role model, an incredible advocate for everything, and a you know, superstar employee of An Post as well. So just we're so proud of you, of everything you've achieved. And what now, as a final kind of question as we wrap up, what are your goals for the future?
One of the goals that I've had was that I've signed up to the newsletter for the next Autism Year Congress, which is happening in Bilbao in 2028. So one of my goals is to be able to go to that and sort of like be able to contribute more, speaking about sort of my journey for my employment, or talking about something else that relates to my autism experience in that. So that would be one of the first things I would say would be one of my goals. And the other goal is the one that I find is a little more difficult, but I still is a goal anyway. But I have recently been doing the driving, and I did the driving test back in October of this year, and I didn't pass it this time around, but the goal is to try and get enough driving practice in so that I could pass the driving test the second time and sort of see if I can get the full license from that.
Amazing. I didn't pass first time either, just to say.
Yeah. I find that with driving, I don't understand how so many people don't get so stressed out with the driving, especially with all the heavy traffic that's going on our roads and that. Like, I sometimes find I sit in the driver's seat and literally barely a second it comes in before my anxiety levels go through the roof. And so I'm like, I don't know how
you have to move to the country, the very rural countryside.
Yes.
Oh God.
Where there's no traffic at all.
No traffic.
Or traffic lights.
But like with smaller roads.
That's it. Well, thank you both so much. And, you know, I've really enjoyed talking to you both about this. And I'm so grateful to you, Danielle, and to the whole An Post team for years and years of humongous support, and you know, the amount of graduates that have gone through, supported by your team, and we're just so grateful. And this is only the beginning for us, really.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Build it up even more. And Niamh, what can I say? I mean, you're just such a superstar, and you know, we'll watch out for you on your next TV appearance now in the next few months.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks, Marie.
You.
Thank you so much for joining us for our Unlocking Ability podcast. Please stay tuned for future episodes. And in the meantime, please check out our website at tcd.ie/TCPID.